Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and this is the Arcane Concoctionalist. This is an interesting build that focuses on pretty much all the status effects. We have Rot, Poison, Frost. We're going to focus on a little bit of Bleed too. It's going to be a really interesting build, really powerful one too. Let's get into the details. So in our right hand, we have the Antspur Rapier, which has innate Rot on it, and then we're using Seppuku, and we have that in Blood as well. And then our left hand, we're using a regular Rapier that has Frost on it. And our backup weapon, which I'm going to highlight in a little bit, does Deadly Poison. This is a really powerful build, focuses on all the status effects in the game, and does a lot of damage. The opportunity to use two Antspur Rapiers, then you're definitely going to want to do that. But given the fact that they're mainly one per playthrough, or pretty much all one per playthrough, and that you have to have somebody drop you one or go through a second playthrough, I opted for the regular Rapier in the offhand. Still was able to proc Rot several times though, with just one of these anyway. And again, our backup weapon specializes in Deadly Poison, so that's a good added effect too, and we're going to go over that one as well. This one gets the boost from Kindred of Rot's Exultation. We have the Mushroom Crown on, and then it's going to get the boost from Lord of Blood's Exultation 2, making it a really powerful build because we're able to get that 40% boost consistently. This is another build that I recommend if you're looking to have fun and change things up. I know a lot of people are looking for different builds to do right now. This is one of the ones that I definitely had a little bit more fun with, seeing what you could proc as far as the status effects go. So as far as this build goes, we're going to go over stats, equipment, everything you need to know. This is a 150 build. As most of the builds I've done lately are around level 150. This is something where you really want to focus on just seeing how much you can proc in terms of, since we're using the backup weapon Venomous Fang, we're going to go over that in a little bit, being able to proc Rot, Frost, Bleed, and then if you could throw in a little bit of the Deadly Poison too, you get a lot of damage out of the Venomous Fang now too, because claws are a lot better. They're a lot more powerful since 1.09, and they're very, very viable weapons now. Now, where do you get this good stuff? Well, I'm going to show you where to get it here. We're going to start with where do you get the Antspur Rapier, and it's one per playthrough. First off, where do you get the Antspur Rapier? They're one per playthrough, and this guy has it in the Shaded Castle. When you're facing the Shaded Castle and you look to the left, there's going to be a humanoid enemy that's there. It's just one of them by himself, and he's going to drop the Antspur Rapier for you. I'm going to show it on the map real quick where you get it, and again, it's not too hard to get. Once you're at the mid-game and you're at the Altless Plateau, you'll be able to kill this guy fairly quickly. It's not too difficult. And here it is on the map here next to the Shaded Castle. Again, not too bad to get to. Once you're out around that mid-game section, and you go through Erdtree, Gazing Hill, or whatever it is there, and you go down to your left, Shaded Castle, and then continue around the left, you'll be able to grab that easily. And then our backup weapon that we're going to be using, Venomous Fang, I'm going to show you where to get that too. So you get Venomous Fang in the Abandoned Cave. It's the same place that you get the Golden Scarab. I'm going to show it on the map anyway, but eventually you'll get into a room that has a whole bunch of plants, and you're going to have to work your way up around behind them, around the kind of junk that's just here, the abductors that I guess are piled up there. You're going to go all the way to the top, and you're going to grab the Venomous Fang, a solid weapon, and I'll show it on the map here. And it's in Kindred, not too bad to get. You can get this weapon at the very start of the game, more or less, because Kindred's accessible. Not too hard to get that one. Alright, now let's take our Arcane build and take on some bosses, mobs, and go over everything you need to know for this build. We're going to go for damage here. We're going to use the Antspur Rapier and the regular Rapier, and then again in a little bit we're going to go over the backup weapon too. We're really able to get a good amount of damage out of these claws on occult with the Arcane. You're going to be able to see the damage is substantial. They really did boost claws nicely, and they're becoming a very viable weapon in Elden Ring. As far as the Magma Worm here, he does have fairly stout resistances, so he's decent against most things. As far as Bleed, Frost, all that, I think all of it starts around 500 for him. And then as far as his actual armor goes, against most type damages, he's decently resistant too. And we're still able to get a reasonable amount of damage out of him. Again, this one isn't particularly difficult. This is the one in Kindred. It only has the first moveset after all anyway. But he still goes down reasonably quickly on New Game +7, and we're able to do substantial damage. We do have some other stuff to go over, though, because we're an Arcane-focused build, so we're going to go over that, too, and we're going to talk about the Venomous Fang now, which is a really powerful weapon since they boosted claws. The first dragon here we're going to take on with our Antspur Rapier and the regular Rapier, and then the second dragon we're going to show off the Venomous Fang for how much damage we can get and the poison in general and the successive attack boost that you can get throughout using that weapon. Again, the AR has been increased substantially on claws. They're better now than they ever were. So if you're not using claws, now's the time, like I said, to use them, given the fact that the buffs are substantial. And it does make for a solid backup weapon because they're light too. That's the other advantage we got there, is they're also light. So we can use these as our main weapon to get Bleed, Rot, and Frost. and then jump into our backup weapon for the deadly poison and the buildup of good damage. And we threw Royal Knight's Resolve on them for even more damage too. And these dragons, again, aren't particularly tough or, too difficult, even though it's New Game Plus 7. They're basically mini bosses, side bosses, but they have the moveset without fire or any additional crazy moveset. It's just basically the tail swipes, the stomps, and then I think they can do like head bashes and stuff and whatever he does there. It's not overly complicated. However, these dragons respawn, so I like using them for testing since they have a lot of HP. With around 10,000 HP, he went down really quickly with the Venomous Fang. Again, I'm going to advocate for claws here because they're just more powerful than ever. You're going to see the damage in its true power now. They are excellent to use right now. Let's take on the Bell-Bearing Hunter, the one that is specifically in Limgrave, New Game Plus 7, but even so, even though his health is adjusted, he's not particularly tough, and they all have the same moveset anyway, but let's see how much damage we could do throwing Royal Knight's Resolve on, then stacking successive attack hits, and we're able to take him down pretty much instantly with the Venomous Fang. As you can see, the AR is substantial. Other thing, by the way, as far as this build goes, as far as mobs and stuff like that, or enemies in general that you can do, is jump attacks you'll be able to get substantial damage out of. That's why I threw the Raptor's Black Feathers on. You can use the Claw Talisman if you want. I got a little bit of a different setup. But if you want to make use of jump attacks with the claws, you'll get good damage out of that as well. Also, people always ask me about posture and poise and such, so we went for over 51, the breaking point for poise. I think we ended up with around 52 or so. So I'm going to show you here just by consistently attacking. It does matter when it comes to smaller enemies. There's a lot of bosses in the game that have infinite poise in their attacks, but regular enemies, as you can see there, I was just able to stand there, take as many hits as possible, and then even though my HP went down, ended up taking him down afterwards because we weren't knocked down or anything because we had good posture. So it does matter under certain circumstances, just matters a little less sometimes when it comes to bosses. Without further ado, let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have one Antspur Rapier with Seppuku on it. We got the Rot innately on it too. We have Venomous Fang, any seal will do. We have the regular Rapier with Frost on it. We have the Mushroom Crown and the Raptor's Black Feathers. We have the Kindred of Rot's Exultation, Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, Lord of Blood's Exultation, Dragoncrest Greatshield, and then we have the Thorny tier and the Faith tier for buffs. Let's get into stats. This is an Arcane build. This is basically built around build-up. This is built around the occult Venomous Fang and any occult weapons you'd want to use. As far as the weapons themselves, I didn't go for high dex here. I just went for around 20 or so, and then we went for 60 Arcane to focus more on the status effects and our backup weapon for damage. And it ended up coming out pretty well. Everything worked quite well. As you can see, we're able to proc a lot of stuff, and it was a really fun build to do too. Now for buffs, it's nothing too complicated here. We're going to drink our tier, and then we're going to use Golden Vow, and then we're using Howl of Shabriri to give us a 25% extra added damage boost. You can use Flame Grant Me Strength too if you want to go lower Faith, and then we're going to fill up our FP, and then we get to attack with the Antspur Rapiers after proccing the Chilling Mist and Seppuku, which adds obviously additional frost and bleed. You're able to get a lot of damage and a lot of status effects out of this one. This is a powerful build and something you can utilize if you want to have a little bit of fun too. Thank you, Melody, by the way, for this idea, this really cool idea on Discord. And then if you're not on Discord, definitely be sure to join that. There's over 400 people in there now. And the build idea list, if you have a build idea, feel free to throw it on there and I'll try to turn it into something powerful. That is definitely, again, something you're going to want to be a part of. And if you're not subbed and you love overpowered PvE builds, be sure to check out all the awesome builds that are on my channel. There's like an entire library of builds there now. Thanks for watching. As always, I will catch you guys there.